So we all know the popular horror films that are often recommended on everybody's list, but if you're looking for hidden gem horror movies that you might have missed, then this list is for you. Now, I'm not saying that all of these movies are great. In fact, some of them are pretty bad. Some of them are pretty stupid. But they're so much fun. Not every movie has to be good, okay? Sometimes you just want to chill on the couch, mindless one night watching something that doesn't take a lot of energy and thinking, and these movies are those. However, I do think that they're enjoyable to watch. So put on that velour tracksuit and reapply that frosted lip gloss because we're going back in time here. I'm going to be talking about some hidden gems from the late 90s, early 2000s that I love. First, I'm going to be talking about Creep. So when everybody hears the name Creep, they often think of the 2014 found footage horror from Mark Duplass called Creep. Creep, which came first, stars a young woman played by Franca Potente, I don't know how to say her name. Franca? Let's just call her Franca, okay? Creep follows a young woman who accidentally gets locked in the London Underground overnight, and she soon realizes that she's not alone. In fact, she's being chased by a hideous creature who creeps around within the tunnels. This film is directed by Christopher Smith, who also directed the horror gem Triangle starring Melissa George. Smith has stated that his inspiration for the film Creep was the subway scene in American Werewolf in London. This movie has its issues and it kind of falls flat on the second half, but I love the premise. I love stories that take place underground, subterranean horror, and the idea of a woman being trapped underground with this thing that wants to kill her is absolutely terrifying to me. The lead actress, Franca Potente, I don't know how to say her name. Franca gives a great performance. In my opinion, I really like her, and I like her in everything she does, so I think she's good here, and you kind of follow her journey as she's a little bit more stuck up in the beginning, and then she goes through hell and we see her grow and become a fighter. So I do think she is a final girl that people often overlook, and this film is often overlooked, and I really like it. It holds a special place in my heart. And there's some interesting gore in this one. Next, I'm going to be talking about The Mad, starring Billy Zane. I have a confession to make. I am a Billy Zane stan. In this movie, it satiates my appetite for Billy Zane. The Mad is a 2007 horror comedy about a family who encounter flesh-eating zombies at a roadside diner. I'm not saying this movie is good. In fact, it's not great. However, it's stupid fun. It's silly, it's over the top, and it depicts an adorable father-daughter relationship, which I really love. I have a soft spot for father-daughter relationships. I just think they're sweet, and this one, Billy Zane is playing a dad, and I love seeing him in that role. And his daughter is played by Maggie Castle, who you might recognize from Todd in the Book of Pure Evil, and she's just so spunky and fiery, and I just love her. And it's just funny to see Billy Zane in the dad role where he's playing kind of like a geek. He used to be a musician, and he's still reminiscing about those years in his life where he was on the top, and he still thinks of himself as cool. He's kind of having a midlife crisis, and we just follow as they're put in this situation that's deadly, and they have to work together, and they have to overcome their differences to survive. And I just love that whole dynamic, that father-daughter dynamic. There's also a really interesting scene in this film where the characters discuss the term zombie and how it kind of pokes fun at how most zombie films don't really call zombies zombies. So they're kind of going back and forth like, what do we call them? We can't call them zombies. Are they zombies? And I love that. That's kind of the stupid humor, and it's self-aware of the genre. I think that this is the perfect late night watch when you're looking for some trashy fun. Next, I'm going to be talking about My Little Eye. If you're like me, then you like mindless reality TV. And My Little Eye is the disturbing take on reality television. My Little Eye is a 2002 horror film about a group of adults who are selected to stay in an isolated mansion for 6 months in order to win $1 million. Catch is, they need to be filmed at all times and they can never leave the mansion. Tension soon arises within the group, and Bradley Cooper shows up, and some people start dying. This understated thriller provides nice commentary on the reality television show that is hugely popular. Just shows how far some people are willing to go to be famous and win money. One of the major reasons I was drawn to this film is because it stars Chris Lemke from Ginger Snaps, and I just love him, and I think he's great in this film as he is in everything he's in. And Bradley Cooper shows up, like, what the fuck? When I saw Bradley Cooper, it's just so bizarre to me. I think this was before he had hit the A-list because it just seems so weird and out of place, but he's creepy as Bradley Cooper is good at being. He reminds me of his character from Wedding Crashers in this, and yeah, if you're a Bradley Cooper fan, then watch it. I love the style of this film. It is filmed sort of kind of found footage style. It feels very raw and real and very voyeuristic. Is that the right word? Where you feel like you're seeing things you're not supposed to be seeing. You're seeing intimate moments. You're witnessing things that other characters are unaware of. And it's just an interesting way to present the film. I love that it slowly burns along with the characters as they're going through this torturous 6 months in isolation, which, I mean, we all know what isolation is like now, don't we? And I just love how bizarre and like batshit crazy it gets towards the end. And I just think it's well worth the watch. Next, I'm gonna be talking about The Fourth Floor. Have you ever had an upstairs neighbor who is just hell-bent on making you lose your sanity? Well, The Fourth Floor shows just how far some neighbors are willing to go to destroy your life. The Fourth Floor is a 1999 horror thriller starring Juliette Lewis as a young woman who inherits a rent-controlled brownstone apartment in New York City. All seems too good to be true, and she soon finds it is when her upstairs neighbor begins harassing her. Eventually, the harassment increases in depravity over time, and her character has to either leave this beautiful apartment or fight the neighbor for what's hers. I think this film has an amazing cast of characters. Juliette Lewis, William Hurt, Shelley Duvall, Tobin Bell is in this, and I absolutely adore the apartment setting. I love films or books that are set in an apartment, like Rosemary's Baby, for example. The apartment setting is just a wonderful setting where you can get a bunch of different personalities in one place and just really explore that dynamic, and this film does that very well, I think. It reminded me of Rosemary's Baby in the sense of not belonging to a certain place and feeling like you can't really trust anybody around you, that feeling of paranoia. I feel like they do that very well in this film. And I feel like the concept of being terrorized by your neighbor, whether it be through loud noises or unwanted notes slipped under your door, it's all very relatable because I feel like that happens. I feel like we can all relate to that at some point. I feel like we've all had a neighbor who makes too much noise and you can't really do anything about it if they get out of hand. It's almost like you're stuck in your own personal hell with this person who has no consideration for you. Am I speaking from experience? Yes. Yes, I am. I love Juliette Lewis, and I think she gives an energetic performance in this, and I love watching her increase the ante as the harassment towards her increases. She fights back, she doesn't back down, and I just love her in this. I love that she's another bold spitfire who is not gonna let this neighbor push her around and push her out of this beautiful home. She is going to make a stand, and she does, even though it puts her in danger. Lastly, I'm going to be talking about Witchcraft. So, have you ever stumbled upon a movie on Encore at 2 a.m. one night when you're 17 years old and it, for some reason, becomes very special to you? That's Witchcraft for me. I don't know why I like this movie so much, but when I think of it, I think of being 17 again and being home with my parents with no responsibilities, and I just get transported back to that place. So, it just holds a lot of nostalgia for me for some reason. Witchcraft is a 2002 horror slasher about a young teenage nerd who receives a mysterious talisman in the mail that grants him 3 wishes. While the teen is making wishes to make the most popular girl in school fall in love with him, his classmates are being killed off one by a mysterious cloaked figure. This movie is definitely a product of the early 2000s. It's got a gorgeous cast of teens who are legit like 30 years old. It's cheesy and it's over the top at times, and it has a ridiculous premise, but I love it. I love the main character played by Michael Weston. I think he has this certain look about him that you feel for him. You want to root for him. He has this like kind eyes that he just seems so sweet and genuine, and you want him to do well. You want him to get these wishes and get the girl. I also love Alexandra Holden, who plays his love interest. She was also in another horror gem called Dead End, starring Lynn Shay and Ray Wise. That's also phenomenal. And AJ Buckley plays his best friend, and you might remember him from Disturbing Behavior. There are some pretty fun kills in this movie, and it's just so much fun to watch, and I highly recommend it. So those are some of my favorite horror gems. Have you seen any of these movies? Let me know your thoughts down below. Please hit subscribe if... Ow! Please hit subscribe if you want to see more content like this from me. I talk about spooky movies, spooky books, anything spooky. And if you want to connect with me on social so we can become spooky besties and talk about spooky shit, I'll leave all my links for you down below. And I'll catch you next time, guys. Thanks for watching.